Hi, I'm Kathryn, and my story starts 12 years ago when my family lived in Russia. One morning, my older sister and I were standing at a bus stop when a drunk driver drove into us. My sister was killed instantly, and I almost died. I had a lot of different broken bones, and over the coming years, my family focused on trying to heal my bones, but we didn't focus a lot on my hormones. And I was not doing well at all. I had lost 30 pounds. I didn't have any energy anymore. I used to be a ballet dancer, and now I just could hardly get up in the morning. And something was definitely wrong, but we didn't know what. And I went to a lot of different doctors, and they could never quite tell me. They just seemed to band-aid the problem with medicines and couldn't get to the root. Well, during that time, I just tried to continue on with my life. I finished my undergrad. I worked in Washington, D.C. a few years. I moved down to Florida for seminary. I did 2 seminary degrees while working, and I was just very, very busy, and yet not taking the time to rest, and still not sure what was going on with my body, and I was just getting sicker. Well, we finally actually went to one of the best hospitals in the country, really in the world, a famous hospital, and even there, they didn't know what to tell me. They could just tell me that my body was going into menopause, I was losing bone density, and there really wasn't much they could do except just give me medicines, and those medicines weren't helping. Well, about that time, I just continued to lose weight, and I almost lost my job at one point because my boss said, "How can you be counseling girls when I think you have an eating disorder yourself?" Because I was losing so much weight. Well, I didn't have an eating disorder. I was still eating, but my body was just getting thinner and thinner. Soon after that, I got married, and the morning of my wedding, I was actually in urgent care because I was so sick. And during the honeymoon week in the beautiful mountains of North Carolina, it was a disaster because I was in bed almost the entire time. I was so sick, and we just didn't understand why. And when we came back from the honeymoon, my husband said, "We've got to do something about this. You just can't live your life so sick like this." So we went to another doctor, a gynecologist, and again, they just gave me medicine. And I started to get even worse because that medicine was actually opposite of what I really needed. I was continually having hot flashes. I started to have ovarian cysts. I was in so much pain and came to the point where I actually had to take a month off of work because I was so sick. I would get to the end of the day and I would come home and I would just be laying flat on my stomach on the floor and just not able to move, and it would only be 6 or 7 o'clock at night, and yet at 2 o'clock in the morning I would be wide awake. So something was definitely wrong with my adrenal system as well. Well, my dad around that time called me and said, "Kathryn, I found out about a clinic called the Hotze Clinic. I noticed an ad in an airline magazine, and I think you should look into this." And so I did, just expecting it to be another one of those doctors. I had gone to so many of them already, but this clinic looked different. And so my husband and I went to the clinic, and we started talking to them about our problems. And for the first time, they didn't seem to think I was crazy. They actually dealt with this kind of issue all the time, and they had answers for me. And so they gave me a treatment plan, and I started to feel better. I didn't have ovarian cysts anymore. I was starting to gain weight again. My skin just looked healthier. They even gave me a little hope that maybe someday I could have a baby, when for so long doctors had told me I would never be able to become pregnant. Well, Hotze really changed my life. I'm a new person now after 12 years of being so sick. And not only did Hotze give me my life back, but God worked through Hotze to give me another little life too. Last year on St. Patrick's Day, my husband and I found out that we were pregnant, and you're spinning up everywhere. And last November, little Nicholas was born. Thank you, Hotze, so much for all you've done for me and for my husband, and thank you for being a tool God worked through to give us our little Nicholas. Thanks.